नमस्कार दोस्तों और जय हिंद। आप सभी को स्वागत है इन माय चैनल 1971 वॉर बुक सीरीज। आज हम एक ऐसे बांग्लादेशी मुक्ति योद्धा के बारे में बात करेंगे जिन्होंने 1971 में मूर्ति में कमीशन प्राप्त किए थे, who had also been in Dhaka during the commencement of Operation Searchlight by the Pakistani forces। अपने आंखों से उन्होंने पाकिस्तानी फौज का किया हुआ जेनोसाइड और मैसिव डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑन द बंगाली पॉपुलेशन एंड इन ईस्ट पाकिस्तान को देखे थे और अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस आज शेयर करेंगे। हाउ ही एस्केप्ड फ्रॉम द सिटी ऑफ ढाका, केम ऑल द वे टू इंडिया, took training and received commission as a second lieutenant at Murtee near Jalpaiguri in West Bengal, being trained by the Indian Army and eventually joining the fighting against the Pakistani forces and fighting till the end of the war, who was a student of Dhaka University in 1971 और बाद में इसी यूनिवर्सिटी के वो प्रोफेसर भी बने थे। Let's welcome Lieutenant Shahriar Huda in our program today.
I was a student of Fozdahat Cadet College, which is in Chittagong. It's an English medium school. It used to be, at one point it used to be called the East Pakistan Cadet College. Okay. It was established in 1958, and the purpose was to provide, train the young boys, to feed them into the military academy, Air Force Academy, in the different services. Right. The school was established in 1958 and I joined in 1964. The intakes are taken in grade 7, class 7 up to intermediate level. So I was in East Pakistan Cadet College from 1964 to 1970 when I passed out my in Bangladesh it's called a higher secondary certificate. The matric is called SSC, Secondary School Certificate. The higher one is called Higher Secondary Certificate. Okay. By the way, in 1966, the school got renamed as Fozdahat Cadet College, named after the right. Because three other cadet colleges came into being. One in Mirzapur in Mymensingh, one in Rajshahi, and one in Jessore, Jhinaida. In Jhinaida. Because so it couldn't any longer be called East Pakistan Cadet College. It was not the sole one. Right. So I don't know if you have any idea about places like Doon School in India.
Doon School, right?
There's a Doon School. So these cadet colleges were kind of imitations of Doon School. The only difference was that in these colleges it was not the parental wealth that mattered. It was, the entrance was highly competitive, so most of the kids were from middle class background. Okay. Middle class, professional, parental background, family background. Anyway, I was a good student, but I was more involved in sports. Okay, I was a house captain, I was a prefect and all that. In the meantime, while I was studying there, my father was a doctor. He moved to Libya. Okay. With the rest of my mother was a teacher of Islamic history, MA in Islamic history. So my two younger brothers, we had three siblings at that time. They moved to Libya, but because I was at possibly the best school in Pakistan at that time, so they decided to keep me in Cadet College and left me behind. By 1970, to the end of 1970, my parents moved to London. My father started working in London and they wanted me to join them. And it takes a little while to arrange the visa and so on. So I was waiting for the visa to arrive and basically marking time. Okay. In the meantime, at one point I wanted to join Pakistan Army, because most of my class friends from Cadet College were joining.
Bengalis were joining
so I also
Pakistani Army. Yeah.
Yes, but particularly towards 1969, 1970, largest number of Bengali boys went to PMA in 1970 in my batch. Okay. So I went through the entire procedure like medical test, interview, then written exam. I was waiting for the ISSB. At that time, I had a talk with my parents, and they said, don't go into the army. You're coming over to UK, so you better join Dhaka. So I went to Dhaka University.
Okay.
I joined the Dhaka University in the Department of Economics, with economics honors, with subsidiary mathematics and statistics. By the way, in the 60s, Dhaka University's economics department and physics department were the most demanding ones. The best students in science to physics, the best students in art and to economics. But by our time, economics had become very mathematical. So a lot of science kids also went into economics. In my batch, at the time there were four boards of education in Bangladesh: Dhaka, Tripura, Rajshahi, and Khulna. Jasor board. So Chatta board, from these four boards, there would be 20 students with positions in the list of merit. Top 20 students in science, top 20 in humanities, they would be declared, and in newspapers would print their names and everything. So in the economics department, because it was so competitive, we had at least 80 students who had stood in at least one of those SSC or HSC, stood among the first 20s.
Okay.
I was in such a competitive environment over there. In the meantime, in Bangladesh, political situation was getting rougher and rougher each day, because Sheikh Mujib and Awami League had won the election, but they were not being given the authority to govern, because the parliament was not being called. And we are all very anxious, very agitated. I was in the university, and university classes were not being held properly. Every day there would be procession, political processions to also go over there. I personally, being from a cadet college, I was not so much enthusiastic about these processions. More used to disciplined life, like cadets. That's what they are supposed to be.
Right.
But we were conscious about what's going on, and by the beginning of March 71, it came to us that the military regime is not going to hand over power to the elected body in the parliament. In fact, parliament was not being called. The beginning of the parliamentary session was being postponed, and by the time we could see that lots of troops and armaments from West Pakistan were being transferred to East Pakistan, which was a sign that they are going to possibly crack down on the movement, popular movement, and do something very nasty. I don't know why our politicians failed to understand that. It was very apparent.
As far as I heard, in PIA flights, Pakistani soldiers were arriving from West Pakistan to Dhaka in civilian clothing.
Yes. In civilian clothes and without the arms, because civil airplanes were not allowed to carry arms.
Right.
So soldiers would be coming in civil dress. They'd be arriving, and their arms were coming by ship.
Right.
For example, a battalion is being transferred to East Pakistan, and soldiers are coming without the arms. Arms are coming by ship, and this was going on for quite some time, and it hasn't. The pace picked up in, I would say, February, March particularly, when I think these military junta people decided that they were going for a crackdown. They had already decided, but they were trying to fool the politicians, particularly the politicians from East Pakistan. They're dangling the carrot of, they're going to have the parliament and so on. But it wasn't going to happen. It happened to anybody who had brains. Then there was this 3rd March, something happened. On 7th March, there was a huge political gathering, and the rest is the just in front of the Dhaka University and Bangla Academy. If you have been to Dhaka, you probably know.
You had been there,
There's a
sir,
huge.
at the race course during the speech.
Yes, I was there
Oh, wow.
along with some of my friends. I was
Okay.
there at that race course, and that historical speech I listened to, and it was unique. I have never heard such a political speech, and it was uh, virtually, I think, Bangabandhu had made the declaration on that day without actually saying the words.
Right.
It was clear that something was going to happen and we would have to fight.
Mhm.
So we came back, some of my friends who attended the meeting, we came back and we felt that, this is something is going to happen and we should start preparing.
Right.
Then came the 25th of March. I used to live in Old Dhaka,
Old
a
Dhaka.
place called Shah street name. The main road, at one time it was called Madan Mohan Boshak Road. Nowadays it's called Tipu Sultan Road. It's adjacent to Wari. It's part of Old Town.
Okay.
But the streets, there were streets which are very narrow and through which you could walk all over the old city. You could, for example, if I could walk through those back street, go up to Gulistan, which was the city
Even
center
now
in
the
those
streets
days.
are very narrow in Old Dhaka. I've been
Yes,
there.
they are very narrow.
Very narrow.
There are streets where even rickshaws cannot get in.
Yeah.
Not even a single rickshaw can get in.
Yeah.
So I used to live there. The address was 232 Lalhon Shah Street. It was unique because it was the corner plot. The very first house as you enter into that street, very first house on the left, it had two coconut trees. Those were which could be seen from a distance. And from the roof of in those days, the buildings were mostly 1 or 2 story. So from the rooftop, you could see quite a long distance and see what's happening all around the house, all around the neighborhood. In fact, one of the earliest memories that I have was, I think there was a riot in 1962. Yes, most probably 1962. There was some riots in Bihar, and there were a lot of Biharis living in Dhaka
Mhm.
in those days.
These were communal
more
riots, sir.
communal riots. That's what I'm talking about. There were some riots in Bihar, and these people in Dhaka, they reciprocated. They started attacking Hindu houses.
Okay.
And house we lived in, basically it was originally a Hindu neighborhood. The house we lived in was bought from one of the owners who were migrating to India
Okay.
long time back, early 50s, 51 most probably 1951.
Mhm.
So I had Hindu neighbors, all of them. And I remember at night, my parents, and we had interconnecting doors, houses, but at one time it was one house, one huge building. Now it's divided into many components, different shariks living in different areas. But there were interconnecting doors. So between our house and the Hindu neighbors, we had the interconnecting doors. On one side and other side, there was a Bombaya business family, Gujarati business family, Muslims.
Okay.
So all three houses had interconnecting doors.
Mhm.
Okay. So when this communal riot was going on, our Hindu neighbors used to come over and sleep at our home, because at night it was not secure for them to stay in their own house. Exactly opposite. I mean, something similar used to happen prior to March 25. There was some communal violence, but this was not against the Hindu community. It was against the non-Bengalis. Non-Bengalis were being attacked because people got very agitated. So prior to 25th March, sometimes some of my neighbors on they were most probably Bora.
Okay.
There's a community of Gujarati Muslims there. They're called Boras. So our neighbors were Bora Muslims.
Okay.
They used to come over and it at our home for protection. So I had this experience both ways. At one point, it was the Hindu community being attacked. At one point, the Muhajirs being attacked, and they're both all coming over and staying with us. Those are my early childhood memories. 1962 and 1970, 71. Then came 25th March. As I mentioned, I was a student of Dhaka University, and back then I knew old Dhaka city very well. So I knew all the side streets, main roads, and so on. So I was up on the roof observing what is going on.
Okay.
Somehow we got the information that something is going to happen on 25th night. So my guardians told me not to. Normally I would go out in the evenings, go and visit my friends, other neighborhoods, or go to Dhaka University to meet some friends who were staying in the halls. But that day I was told by my guardians not to venture out, that they expected something to happen. But we never received any political instruction. I don't know why the politicians could not guess that something was happening. And it did happen. Just at 12 o'clock, we started hearing shots being fired, artillery shells being fired, and there was fighting all over the city. Particularly military troops started. We
Dhaka
heard
University, a massacre happened there.
particularly one hall. In those days, it was called Iqbal Hall. Now I think it's called
and Jagannath Hall.
And Jagannath Hall, because it was mainly for the Hindu students. So Jagannath Hall was attacked. Iqbal Hall was attacked because a lot of the Chhatra League, student front of Awami League, their leaders and cadets used to live in
Iqbal Hall.
that hall. Some of my friends lived there. These two halls particularly were badly attacked, and also there was a vicious attack on the Rajarbagh police station, police line,
Right.
which was the main residential area for the police. All the police constables used to live there, most of them. So that was the police line that was attacked, and police fought back very bravely. So the whole night. Then there's a place called Pilkhana.
Pilkhana.
Pilkhana is the base for headquarters for the BGB, Bangladesh Border Guards of Bangladesh. In those days, it was called East Pakistan Rifles,
Pakistan Rifles.
EPR.
EPR.
And after liberation, it was called I think BDR, Bangladesh Rifles. After 71, it became BDR. Yeah. Now it's called BGB.
I think General Chittaranjan Datta was the Director General of the BGB. Oh, sorry, BDR. BDR.
He was not. He may have been for a short while, because General C.R. Datta was C.R. Datta. He was actually a retired officer in 71.
Okay.
As far as I remember, he was already retired.
Okay.
So he was, because of his contribution to the liberation war, he was given promotion and so on. Like General Osmani. General Osmani was a retired colonel from Pakistan Army.
Right.
But he also got the rank of general and so on. So probably C.R. Datta may have headed, I'm not sure, may have headed BDR for a short time, because these institutions are usually headed by serving officers. So I'm not 100% sure. Okay, but he may have, because at the end of the war he was a general. He was given the rank of major. So he may have taken over BDR.
Right.
So the Pilkhana headquarters of BDR, EPR at that time, was attacked completely, because EPR people had some heavy arms, like machine guns, light machine guns, heavy machine guns, maybe 2-inch mortars also. So they could fight back. That's why they were attacked very, with all the strength of Pakistan army. So you have the Pilkhana, Rajarghat police line, and the two halls of Dhaka University. These were the four places badly attacked. Otherwise, the troops also started attacking haphazardly, at random. For example, in front of Pakistan, they are just shooting at people who are, ordinary people, rickshawalas or rickshaw pullers, not taxi drivers sleeping in their vehicles. A lot of these people are homeless, so they sleep. Rickshaw might be sleeping on his rickshaw, or a cart puller sleeping in his cart.
Right.
So a lot of very innocent people, bystanders, were killed, and they set fire to a lot of the shops. There's a main road called Nawabpur Road, which connects with the Sadar Ghat, the port next to the port for Buriganga River. So the road going from Gulistan to Sadar Ghat used to be called Nawabpur Road. That was the main road of Dhaka in those days. So the army trucks, army troops moved along that road, and on the way they just put fire to all the shops. All the shops that they felt, could be looted and so on. They just at random set fire, also looted some of those, and killed people as they went on. This thing started around 12 o'clock, 25th March, 12 o'clock. So once this firing and setting arson and all this started, I went up to the roof of my house and watched as far as I could see. Then I called over one of my friends, my neighbors. His name was, used to call him Somendranath Bonik. He was one of my neighbors. Somaকে ডেকে এনে বললাম যে চল আমরা দুজনে একটু দেখি কি হচ্ছে। So we went through, as I said, that old Dhaka has a lot of narrow streets. So I could avoid the army patrols and still go up to Nawabpur Road, still go up to near Gulistan and see what was happening. It was horrible. I had never seen anything like that in my life. The next morning, again, we went out and tried to, as far as we could go, without being detected by army patrols. By this time, the whole city was terrified. So nobody was venturing outside. Army patrols were there on all the major roads. And I ventured out with my friend only as far as I could go without being detected. Then I think by this time, curfew was declared on 25th March. The curfew was relaxed on 27th.
27th, okay.
On 27th. On 27th, I did go up to the university, but did not go inside the campus, just from the peripheral streets or roads. I watched as much as I could. Came back, and then we heard on the radio, which was being retransmitted every now and then. I think the first transmission was on 27th. Major Ziaur Rahman made a declaration of independence from Kalurghat in Chittagong. Kalurghat was the broadcasting. I think they had the broadcasting center for Chittagong radio.
Right.
So we heard that. And that gave us some inspiration that there's some fighting back going on.
Okay.
After that, Pakistan Army more or less.
Kalurghat radio station, right, sir?
Kalurghat radio station.
Okay.
That's right. By this time, after 27, when the curfew was being relaxed every few hours of a day, people started leaving Dhaka. People were so scared. They were just streaming out of Dhaka, especially people who who were from villages nearby or districts nearby, they just left Dhaka at the very first opportunity. The
Okay.
people were streaming out across the river, across, by roads, by buses, by trains, whatever they could. Uh, but we stayed on. We had reasonably good connection, so we didn't feel threatened family-wise. So we stayed on. And after a few days, the military government wanted things to become normal. They thought they had the situation under control. So the curfew was gradually relaxed. In the meantime, I started meeting some of my friends from cadet college background, and we started having regular meeting, trying to decide what to do. And we came we came to the conclusion that we started listening to this radio broadcast from Shadin Bangla, which was being set up in Kolkata. Also regularly listening to BBC, Akashvani, and we decided that we must join the Liberation War. And being from cadet college, we had a few senior cadets already in the army, in the East Bengal regiment. They were officers in the East Bengal regiment commissioned in Pakistan. So we decided that we must go to an area where we'll find one of those officers. So it will be easier for us to integrate and join the Liberation War.
Okay.
We attempted to go out of Dhaka, but you see, we boys were mostly city boys. We had no idea which side. We didn't know how to go out and how to reach the border areas. So we were looking for a guide. Our first attempt was in April, but we failed. We couldn't go. But actually, on 6th of April, my youngest uncle, Chobu Kaka, we used to live in a joint family. Okay? He was a woman actor, singer. So he and some of his friends left for Kolkata, leaving his car behind in Arichaghat. Later we heard that the car was left there, abandoned. They managed to go to Kolkata. Then, around middle of April, my youngest brother, he was in Dhaka at that time. He was a grade 10 student, St. Gregory's School.
Okay.
He left family in the middle of the night without informing anybody. He went for liberation. So when I was planning to go, you see, my parents were not in Dhaka. We had a joint family. My aunt was there, my cousin sisters, elder sisters, they were there. So I told them that I was going for liberation war. So they did not discourage me. They said, go ahead. They gave me some money, pocket money to survive, but made me promise,
Right.
to fight the war. My cousin sisters were teaching at some Dhaka colleges. There's a college, Siddheshwari College. So one of them was teaching there, another one at Holy.
I had one question, sir. I heard that a lot of Dhaka University professors were also killed during Searchlight. Were any of your teachers or professors hurt or killed during that time, just during Searchlight?
During Searchlight, the first crackdown, yes.
Yeah.
None of my teachers, no. I was in the economics department. I don't think anybody from the economics department was killed on that day. People like GC Dev, then
Bobindra Chandra Dey, I guess. Yeah.
yes, quite a few teachers were killed initially on the very first night, in fact, on 25th. And some teachers from Dhaka Medical College were killed. But actual killing of intellectuals happened later on, towards the end of the liberation.
14th December.
Yes, that was the most. That was the real black day for us. Anyway, as I was saying, by April, my friends and I attempted once, but we failed. Then again, we started waiting for right opportunity, waiting for a good guide to take us across the border, across the countryside to the border area. And we did not find one until third week of May,
Okay.
almost 2 months after the liberation war started. Uh, Initially, we were supposed to be five boys from our class in the cadet college, but at the last moment, one of them dropped out. So four of us. I have two friends, twins, Sayyid Mizanur Rahman, Sayyid Munibur Rahman, and another friend, Didar Akbar Hussain. They all retired as majors in the army later on. Didar is a successful entrepreneur, businessman, industrialist. So we four, along with a guide, an old Dhaka boy, Muhammad Ali, he had already been to the freedom fighters camp in the border once or twice, so he knew the way. And this guy couldn't speak proper Bengali. He had Dhakaiya Kupti. Dhakayas have a dialect,
Right.
so he only could speak that.
I think it is very common even with people from Chittagong that they
Yeah.
can't speak
Chittagong,
Bengali.
Sylhet and Noakhali, they cannot, normal Kopto Bangla যেটা আমরা বলি, the usual Bengali, they cannot, they have difficulty saying it. Even educated people have noticed. They have very heavy accent. So we started on 23rd May,
Okay.
the five of us. We started from Dhaka. We took baby taxis or auto rickshaws from our home to New Market, the rendezvous. And there we took another baby taxi, the auto rickshaw, and we started moving towards Kumilla by road in the auto rickshaw. So in those days, there were no bridges over the major rivers. Like Shitalakha, there were no bridge. Medna, there was no bridge. So we had to take ferries. So we crossed the Meghna, and on the way to Kumilla, there's a place called Chandina Bazaar.
Okay. Nazira Bazaar.
Chandina
Bazaar.
Bazaar.
Okay.
So we stopped there for lunch. Okay. We got down from our auto rickshaw, we started having our lunch, and then people running away from the bazaar. It's a crowded bazaar, everybody shouting that payas are coming.
Okay.
Payas was the word for Punjabis,
Punjabis.
police soldiers.
Yeah, yeah.
So, villagers, they were shouting and running away. Then we are in the middle of having our meals. So we finished our meals, and we didn't actually finish our meals. We left halfway. We also got up, got scared. We said we must run away. So we took two rickshaws and got down from the highway towards the village, just in the general direction of eastern direction, which would take us toward the border. But it was still maybe 20 miles or 25 miles or 30 miles from the border. So we started going in the rickshaw. Then we saw at a distance an army patrol coming, and we saw the petrol van, a truck, one of those maybe 1-tonner or 3-tonner trucks, getting down into the village
Okay.
road towards us, chasing us. So we got down from our rickshaws and we started running across the field, and we got away somehow. By the time we stopped, so that was the first close encounter. Prior to that, in Dhaka city, we were stopped at I was stopped personally at several checkpoints. My friends have, we all have different experiences. I think some of us have narrated those experiences in that book. I had an experience, maybe I should tell you now. I had a friend in Pakistan Army. He was a captain, a Punjabi. He was very friendly with me and some of my friends from Dhaka. He was posted in an anti-aircraft regiment, which
In
was
Dhaka.
in Dhaka.
Okay.
It's called ACAC regiment, anti-aircraft regiment.
43 ACAC Light and Anti-Aircraft Regiment was in Dhaka.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact unit, but it was an ACAC regiment, and I remember his name. I think he was Captain Aftab.
Okay.
Maybe not much older than us, 3 or 4 years older than us.
Okay.
So he was possibly recently commissioned, and years of service he had just become captain, and he was posted there. So what I used to do is, I used to drink in those days. I still do occasionally. So this guy used to offer us drinks. Being an army officer, he had access to alcoholic drinks. So he would invite us, and some of my friends and I would go over, spend the evening with him, have some drinks, come back. He was very nice. But one day, while we were drinking, I noticed that his sepoys were giving physical punishment to some boys in the garden. It was in the old airport
Old airport. Okay.
in Tejgaon. And I noticed after a while, the Subedar came and reported to the Aftab that Sab, ye log Dhaka University ka student hai. Then he said that give them some more ragra and then give them some more punishment and then let them. And that made me think that this guy is giving punishment to Dhaka University students. I'm also a Dhaka University student. And just because I'm his friend, I'm privileged to be sipping drinks with him. We are having fun. But in reality, he is not, he's like a ruler, and I'm one of the oppressed, being ruled, subject, and that really upset me. And on that day when I went home, I became 100% sure that there is no future for Pakistan, and there is no future for Bengalis in Pakistan. So that was one of the incidents, and many of my friends have similar incidents that made them decide that otherwise, for a guy like me with middle class family, professional family background, having studied in a regimental school, one of the elite schools of Pakistan, why should I become politically motivated and join the liberation war? It was small incidents like this that made us alienated from the system, alienated from the state of Pakistan. Also on 25th March onwards, the massacres that we saw, that also made us realize that Bengalis don't have any future in Pakistan. We must separate. We must be, we must get rid of the military. Anyway, on 23rd March, those friends of mine, 3 other friends and myself, along with the guide, we passed through Chandina. Then by the time it became dark, we still kept on walking through this village, demarcating the different land plots. There is something called I. In Bengali, they call it. So those patches, we walked through those at night, and it was very difficult. But by this time, because it was already May, the liberation war started on 25th March, things were better organized in the villages. People who were pro-independence, volunteers from Army League, Chapter League, in the villages they had organized. So that wherever we went, we found people to guide us. In the middle of the night, people were telling us which way to go, and sometimes people were also feeding us. So throughout the night, we walked maybe 25, 30 miles. We walked towards the border. Then at the border, very close to the border, parallel to the border, there is this CNB road connecting Kumilla uh, with Sylhet,
Mm-hmm.
and there's also parallel to the road there's the railway line. So these were already under occupation by Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army had set up heavy machine guns and light machine guns at various points on the line, for example. And every now and then they'd fire across, without any noticeable target. They'd fire at random to make sure that nobody is crossing this or nobody is infiltrating into East Pakistan at that time
Okay.
or going towards. So these random firing killed a lot of people, especially a lot of people uh, were a lot of refugees were away from into India, and they would have to cross these rail lines or these roads. And at night there would be rapid random fire. A lot of people died. So we also went through that. Somehow we are young people, so we just ran across, across the rail line, across the road. We didn't stop until we felt safe. By the time, very early hours of 24, around maybe 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, we reached a place called Hatibanda, most probably, a village. It's on Indian side.
Could you
This
say the name of the village, sir, again?
Hatimara or Hatibanda.
Hasim.
It's in Tripura.
Okay, okay.
It's in Tripura.
Okay.
So we reached there, and we reached one house, and the house owner was kind enough to let us sleep in his cowshed. So we slept there in the cowshed. They had straws over which they put some rough cloth,
Right.
chalk, and we slept on that. Somehow, because we were so tired, we just didn't feel any difference. We slept. Next morning, when we woke up, we were approached by an NCO from EPR.
EPR. Okay.
EPR. Apparently, he had set up a camp there, training camp for boys, Mukti Bahini boys. So he asked us to join him. We went and saw the facilities he had. Unfortunately, it was not for us. We wanted real armed training.
Okay.
So we politely refused, and we started going towards. There's a place called Sonamuda. Sonamuda is a Sonamuda. I think it's on the Indian side. It's
Very close to the border.
very close to the border, and I think it's a subdivision headquarters,
Right, right.
Sonamuda. So we went to Sonamuda. We took a bus, or those tuk-tukis, auto rickshaws. We reached there. We wanted to reach the nearest well-organized Mukti Bahini camp, which was actually in a place called Moti Nagar.
Moti Nagar.
Moti Nagar. Moti Nagar was also the headquarters of our number 2 sector in those days.
Right, right.
We wanted to reach there, but first we went to Sonamuda. We found our political leaders there. There was an MP, member of the parliament. We woke him up early in the morning, and he was very unhappy. And he saw these 4 smartly dressed kids with kids, with trainers, jeans, and he didn't like us at all. He wanted to have us arrested as Pakistani spies. and he called the BSF. The
Okay.
BSF would come and arrest us. In the meantime, one other political leader there realized the situation. He took us aside and said, "Okay, don't make any hassle here with this guy. He will leave." In the meantime, there was the Bengal Regiment officer, Pakistan Army officer, Bengal Regiment. Later, he became very famous as a fighter. At that time, he was a captain, Captain Gaffar.
Captain Gaffar. Okay. He became
Captain.
Lieutenant Colonel, I guess, later on.
He was also a minister at one time.
Okay.
Lieutenant Colonel, yes. Lieutenant.
He received
At
the
that time, he was
I
captain.
guess.
Yes, yes.
For Bengal, for East Bengal.
So he commanded Fort East Bengal. Later on, when the original Fort East Bengal was split up into 3 battalions with new recruits.
I've heard of
So
it.
he received the command of Fort Bengal. So we saw his vehicle. I mean, I think he was going from one camp to another subsector or someplace, and he saw that there was a crowd, hassle going on, a BSF vehicle. So he came in to inquire what's going on, and when he saw that this guy, he was, I think, in a Pakistan Army vehicle. So that made us realize that this is possibly a Bengal regiment officer. So we immediately approached him. He heard our story and said, he stopped the BSF people, said, leave them alone. He picked us up in his jeep and drove us straight to the camp that we wanted to go to, Moti Nagar. And that was our joining the
Mukti Bahini.
Mukti Bahini.
So this is just the first part of his experiences, who had fled the persecution in East Pakistan and had arrived in India to take training as a Mukti Bahini fighter. In the next video, he will be talking about how he joined the Mukti Bahini and eventually received commission at Murtee, being trained by the Indian Army and being deployed in battle as a second lieutenant. Thank you for listening, and please wait for our next video.